Hi, everyone, and welcome back. My name is Joycelyn, and I am the owner of JoiB Consulting. And I'm really excited today because today I get to have a conversation with a woman I have known since I think I was a teenager. Like, she is a sister, she's a friend. We've had the opportunity to walk many seasons of life together. And I'm just so excited to have her here with me today. You guys don't even understand. We get to talk to the one and only, okay? I call her the amazing billionaire in making for Andrea Osei Bride. And we're just gonna have a conversation today. And like I
Yes.
said, I love her deeply, and I'm so glad to have you all also get to know her, get to hear about her, get to hear about her journey, get to hear about how God has just been so awesome in her life. So, without further ado, I'm gonna pass it to my sister and my friend, Andrea. If you just introduce yourself, tell us who you are, what you do, and then we'll go from there.
Okay. Well, good morning, good afternoon, good night, depending on where you are in the world. My name is Andrea Osei, and I am the creative director and CEO of Andrea Osei Bride, which is a luxury bridal brand.
You hear that luxury, okay? And I'm telling you, everything she does speaks to that. I just love her dresses. And I think one thing that I've always admired about you, Andrea, is just your tenacity to
Thank
just create and to push through. So, I mean, I know who you are, so I'm not going to ask questions as if I have all the answers. But I guess my
you.
first question is, if we were to ask you, who is Andrea Osei? What would you say?
Well, I think if you asked me that question today, I would say that Andrea Osei is a Renaissance woman. I've never been afraid to hit reset, rebrand, pivot, depending on what life threw at me, which is interesting because I never knew that about myself until I was in the heat of crossroads in my life. So I'm a well. I was about to say a mother, but I actually don't have my own children. But I guess I'm just speaking it into existence.
This is
Um,
here. I'm telling you.
yeah, yeah. So I'm praying to be a wife and a mother soon. But right now, I am a rich auntie to a brood of children, which I love. I'm a businesswoman. I'm a sister. I'm a damn good friend. Yeah, and I love nice clothes. If you can't tell, so that's me in a nutshell. That's me in a nutshell. I love to laugh. I love quality time with my loved ones. That's me.
Yeah, no, that's true. I think Andrea, growing up, she was the one. Okay, this is before I got saved. Okay, so we're gonna have this conversation. But we would literally go to church 31st night, end up at Andrea's house to like have all the food, the snacks, and then hit up New York City and then get done and come back. She was the one always hosting, making sure that we were always good. Like her house, even like before she got her own place, her home was where we would all end up just to chill, just to
It
have.
was the central.
It was. And then when you got your own place, you carry that. That just speaks to who you are as a person, your heart as a person. And I think that's one thing I love about you so, so much. So excited to connect with you today. But today we're here to learn about your business, right? I think you've done a lot of different iterations of it, but now we ended at Andrea Osei Bride. But I kind of want to start from the beginning. Like, where did you start from as a business owner and where have you come today in 2025?
Sure. So I kind of stumbled into entrepreneurship. Honestly, a lot of people know that I'm a pharmacist. At this point now, I'm ooh, I'm nearing 20 years as a with my pharmacy degree. I graduated from Rutgers University with my doctorate in 2008. And I really had always kind of had my finger on the pulse of fashion now that I think about it indirectly. Like I did fashion shows at Rutgers and in high school and things of that nature. And then my grandmother had taught me how to sew by hand. But those were, in that time in my life, they were just hobbies. When my grandmother passed away in 2013, my godmother, who's like one of my favorite aunties, she gifted me a sewing machine in her honor. And I started teaching myself how to sew. And at that point, I was like, at that time I was married, so I had just gotten married, and I was like, let me try to save some coin and make myself my own clothes because I still want to look fly, right? And I just had a natural knack for it. I taught myself how to sew using YouTube, um, with because I didn't know how to use a sewing machine. And from there, I started a children's clothing company called Peanuts Clothing, that had like philanthropic arm to it for my nonprofit. And then I was getting requests for custom clothing. So at that point, I was kind of operating like a tailor. I had domesticated Drea, where I was making a lot of outerwear and blazers. And then I had a company on, I'm sorry, Osei and Rose, where, and this is one of my Osei and Rose blazers.
Yes.
So it had, it was ready to wear that was heavily influenced by my Ghanaian heritage. And then COVID happened, and the whole world had to stand still, right? And during that time, I decided to really start taking the business of fashion seriously. Like, I had learned all the skills and how to construct and manufacture and all that other jazz, but I said I wanted to take my fashion business to the next level. And throughout my whole journey, even from the beginning, people had been asking me to make reception dresses and wedding dresses and bridesmaids dresses. And a lot of those requests, I ended up out like referring them out because I just felt like I was too new to make someone's wedding dress. But I knew that when I did decide to do it, I wanted to have 100% confidence in my skills. So after COVID, like I was honored. I had the opportunity to participate in the Cornell's Women Entrepreneurship Program certificate program. I received the grant from American Express 100 for 100, and those two programs really changed the trajectory of how I operate as a businesswoman. And after I had those in my toolkit, I knew that I was ready to pivot to a brand that would be my namesake. And
Mm.
I knew that before I put my name on something, my full name, it had to be nothing but excellence. So so that's how we decided to pivot to Andrea Osei Bride, and it's been a whirlwind since then.
I think for me, and again, I'm gonna be honest, I'm biased. I think I've walked the journey, right? I
Yes, you've been there. You've been there. You've seen it all.
I've walked the journey of graduation from pharmacy school to today, right? To like shouting on the stage to like where we are today. And I think it's just been an amazing journey to watch. And you said something that I believe has been kind of like the word through most of the conversations I've had so far, excellence. That before you put your name on something, you need to make sure that it is excellent. And I don't know if you want to speak really quickly to why excellence is such an important thing as a business owner, and especially as a woman of faith in this world.
Of course. Um, I think excellence is important because excellence goes hand in hand with integrity.
Mm.
And I know in this world of like social media and overnight success and going viral, I think that it's sexy to get rich quick, right? And I think a lot of brands cut corners in order to do that, and they skimp on quality. But when it comes to excellence, you only have one time to really damage your reputation and not be able to come back from it.
Mm.
So my mindset has always been that I want slow, sustainable, steady growth. I want the type of growth because I'm building legacy. I don't need to be an overnight success. I need something that generations after me will be able to like run and eat off of and then build other corporations around. So I think that you have to operate in excellence if you're a woman of faith because God operates in excellence. So you can't lower the bar. The bar is already set for you.
I love that. God operates in excellence. And I love what you said too about just building legacy, right? Because I want us to talk about this a little bit more where you're right, in this dispensation where everything seems quick, right? People look like they made it overnight, like they became a sensation overnight. There's some people who are, but can you talk to what it looks like to really work the journey? Right? You I mean, right?
Can't I was like, how much time do we have?
Oh,
Because
we gonna make time for this part because I feel like I speak to a lot of business owners, especially those a bit younger than us, and it's just like, oh well, this person is doing it, and I'm just like, it takes time to
it
build
does take
something
time.
that is solid, that is a foundation, right? And it's funny because last year the Lord had me learning about foundations and how imperative it is that before you build the rest of the building, that your foundation is solid, because it is that foundation that will ensure that the weight of everything else can be held up. So I don't know if you'll just talk about that, the importance and what that journey looked like for you. Because like you said, you've been doing this for a while. You didn't just wake up to be Andrea Osei Bride. You've had a few iterations, right? To get
Yeah.
to here. So
And I had to make a couple of mistakes along the way. And I
mm,
think that you also have to become very very familiar and intimate with failure. I think that is step number one, because it either you're going to stay in that valley and be like, oh, this didn't work and I'm a failure and maybe I'm not as good as I am, or you're going to quickly learn the lesson and pivot.
Mm.
And to be an entrepreneur, you have to be okay with this. And sometimes it's more like this for a couple of months or years. And then sometimes it just like, kind of like there's an inflection point, as TDJ said. I'm not sure whether you've ever heard that sermon, but you definitely need to go listen to his inflection point sermon, because you have to have the tenacity to weather those storms. And one piece of advice I would give business owners is, because for me, every time I've started a business, it's been because I have a talent for something, not because I was business savvy whatsoever, right? I didn't decide to become business savvy until COVID. So
Mm.
up until that time, like, yeah, I might have been breaking even and like making some money here and there, but I wasn't really looking at the numbers. Like, I wasn't, you have to do the unsexy part. You have to do the profit loss. You have to do this. You have to do that. You have to keep receipts. It's not just about, how to sell. And another thing that I really didn't have knowledge of was how much capital I needed to run the empire that I'm building. And I think that's because sometimes we make the vision smaller than what it actually needs to be. And we're afraid of the numbers. But what number is too big for God? There's
Mm.
nothing that's too big for God. So I think that if you are a young entrepreneur, because I've bootstrapped every business that I've had, and it has been painful. Painful. Okay. Like, if you don't have to do it, don't do it like that.
Mm.
I would say, like, so if you're planning to jump into a dream that you have and you're going to leave your 9 to 5, and let me just say, I left my 9 to 5, but my toe has always still been back there, because every now and then
A little bit here, like, cause we need you to
my
look.
toe back in the pond, because especially you don't know what life is going to throw at you. Like, ever since I've become an entrepreneur, like, I've had some major life changes. I've lost a parent.
Mm.
COVID's happened. I've gone through my own personal financial struggles because I was bootstrapping and I didn't realize how much the business was going to cost. And I think that don't let anyone shame you for what your journey looks like. So if you need to work a 9 to 5 and in preparation for what you're going to do, you do it. If you need to leave and work part-time or per diem, you do it. But I would say really write a business plan. Andrea Osei BRIDE was the first time I ever wrote a business plan. That's how I knew I was serious. I knew I was serious. So when I wrote a business plan and I did the little pro forma projections, I was like, wow, I'm really doing it.
We're
But
doing it. We're there.
yeah, write a business plan if your credit is not good. And there's no judgment, because my credit sucked when I when I started it, because I had just gone through some things. Take some time to fix your credit before you jump in head first. And if you need to take a loan to or get grants, really do that research so you can comfortably really chase what you're doing. But you have to have a plan. You have to have a plan. I've just been blessed, because sometimes when I didn't have a plan, it still worked out. But
Mm.
don't do that.
No, don't be like me. Don't be like
Just
me.
don't do that. Yeah.
I love that, Dre. I think I remember you and I met up because when I was starting JoyB Consulting, and you sent me all this paperwork, like how to write the business plan, how to get all the things in place, and I'm like, oh, nah, she's serious. And I know, and just for full disclosure, I've always surrounded myself with women like Andrea, right? And I love that, like women who are far ahead than me. I'm also the youngest in the group always, so it's like I get the advantage of kind of watching them, learning from them, and then they giving me like everything that I need. So I think you're right. It's about one, ensuring that you have a plan, right? I think sometimes we just kind of jump into things without a plan. Even the Bible says, you know, before you begin to build a building, count the cost of what it's going to cost you to build that building. And sometimes you may not have all the resources, but at least you have a plan. You know where you're starting from. You know how you're going to get ahead to some degree of what you're trying to do. So I definitely appreciate you highlighting that piece of it in the conversation. You also said something, I'm trying to remember what it was, but you talked about having to bootstrap a lot of this on your own and fixing your credit and doing all those things. So my question to you is that what are some savvy ways that you would encourage entrepreneurs to be able to, finance their business that they're trying to start, or be able to leverage it in some type of way. Do you believe that, just you have to have it all together before you start? I don't think you do, because you said you bootstrap it.
No, I don't
Yeah.
believe that, but I do believe that for the ultimate vision of what you want to do for your business within the first like 3 years, you should have a figure.
Mm,
You should have, no matter how big or how small, what you have or not. And so if the figure is $500,000, then it's $500,000. Even if you only have $10,000, don't start then trying to cut corners. Like, oh, do everything cost effectively and efficiently. But there's certain things that there's no way around. If you need to build out a store, you need to build out a store. If you need to pay, if you have payroll, you have payroll. But I would strongly suggest that you tap into your local chamber of commerce in your city or state. SBA.gov is a great resource. That's actually where I got the business plan template that I sent to you, was from SBA.gov. If you're at the point where you are looking for lenders, you can also be matched with a lender there. They have quite a few loan programs that are secured by collateral on your end. So they have like 7A loans, and they have like SBA Express loans. So, and that one's for like up to like $50,000. So there's different levels depending on what you're looking for through SBA. I will also, one resource that I used during COVID was crowdfunding. And there's quite a few, and I did reward based crowdfunding. And this is when I had my company, Osei and Rose. So it would be, instead of a traditional GoFundMe where you're just asking for money, and there's nothing wrong, you can also do that too. You would say, hey, I would really like your support for my business. If you buy this pin for $25, if you support me with $25, I'll send you a pin. And
mm,
people like to kind of have like that value exchange, and then you net the difference. An excellent platform for that is iFund. Well, if you're a female entrepreneur, iFundWomen.com. It's spectacular. You can crowdfund on their platform, and then you can also apply for grants on their platform. And there's just so many different places that you can look for these resources. And I also recommend the Cornell's Women Entrepreneurship Program.
mm.
As an alumni, you get like monthly updates on grants. And I believe that Bank of America is sponsored free spots. That's how I was able to be a part of it. And I think you could join a wait list for that.
So from somebody who's not business savvy to somebody who is today, who's kind of just spitting all these resources out, I just want to tell the woman who's watching this, who feels like you are not capable, you don't have enough, is that it's possible, right? To learn along the way, to pick up, things along the way, to connect to mentorship, to connect to women who are already doing it. And I think the biggest thing I would say, to just because what you said, is don't be afraid to put yourself out there. And I
And
think
you have to humble yourself.
and ask for help, right? Yeah, speak to that a little bit.
Yeah. So in which regard specifically?
In humbling yourself and asking for help. Because I'm gonna say, someone like me, I don't like to ask for help. Okay, I'm gonna.
I hate. I I actually absolutely hate like having to rely on anyone. And I'm just a very prideful person. So what I would say is, in terms of asking for help within whatever industry you're operating, I would say that it's very, very valuable to find a mentor.
Mm,
Find a network of your peers who are doing what you're doing, but that's great. But then find someone who's already done it.
mm, mm,
Be Through the grant program that I was a part of, American Express 100 or 100. I believe it was through SCORE. SCORE is another great resource.
mhm,
They provided me with a mentor for free, who had been in the fashion industry for some time, as like in merchandising and buying and stuff like that. She also changed my perspective on so many things.
mm.
Get yourself someone who has some skin in the game. You're not the first to do it, so you don't have to reinvent, and don't reinvent the wheel. Especially in fashion, I think that specifically for fashion is really about interpreting like different styles through your lens, your scope, your story. But a mermaid gown is a mermaid gown. Right? You know what I'm saying? So like, but how are you making it special? So like, what there are, and I think that's where the excellence and the integrity and the customer service
Coming.
really comes in, and that's what really I believe I pride myself on. That's what sets Andrea Osei apart in many ways. How you treat people is really, really major. Most of my business is from referrals. I would say like 80% of it. Like, of course, social media is important, but if you treat people poorly, no one's coming back.
That part. And I think it ties into what you said earlier about how excellence is also integrity, right? Because
Yes.
people can trust you. People know that she has done this excellently and that I can trust the quality of what she's giving me. Like she's just not going to give me anything, right? And I think, like I said, I'm biased. I've seen you go above and beyond for, like, you guys, you need to book a consultation with her because the things you get at consultation, you don't get at other places, okay? So I
Yeah.
just want to put that out there. Like, Andrea goes above and beyond, right? So that, you know, it's her name. I think that's how we grew up, right? Like part of our thing,
Yeah.
like, it's our name. And you're not going to tie my name to any foolishness. Like if it's gonna be my name, you're gonna know that this is Joyce and this is Andrea, and it was done well and it was done excellently. So
Yes.
thank you for that.
And that doesn't mean perfectly the first time either. So let
Yeah.
me clarify that as well, because I feel as though I don't want to set that precedent.
Hmm.
There's always something that's going to go wrong, but how do you troubleshoot and correct that from a customer service perspective? Like I just feel like the art of customer service has kind of like gone down the drain, and it's really sad that it is not just like a standard anymore.
Hmm.
It's not a standard, but I think treating people with kindness, and I think this is also where the faith walk comes in, like treating people with kindness, treating people with respect, and making sure that you're a woman or man of your word. What you say you're going to deliver, and always being transparent if something has gone wrong along the way, and moving quickly to correct it.
1,001%. I agree because I love the fact that you did define that it doesn't have to be perfect, right? And I think I'm going to say sometimes though, I had to really clarify this earlier in my mind is that excellence and perfection don't go hand in hand. Sometimes, because
Mhm.
sometimes
Sometimes.
you have this idea of perfectionism, you may never move because it's not
Mhm.
perfect enough, it's not ready enough, or it has to be just right. And I think sometimes for me, that was a really, really big roadblock going in. But I'm be cognizant of time. I have just a few more minutes, but it's a great conversation. But I really want to ask this one question. What has been the one challenge on your journey of being entrepreneur business wise that you really had to grind through? And looking back now, has it helped or has it hurt your business?
I think, well, there have been many challenges. I'll just choose one. I think that, and this is not just for Andrea Osei Bride, but this is just my career as an entrepreneur, as a fashion designer. When I look back, I've started and stopped a lot because of. I mean, we're being transparent, right? I've started and stopped a lot because I was in the wrong relationships that were affecting what I was doing.
Mm,
And I think that this goes for both romantic and non-romantic relationships. I've learned the hard way that you have to be surrounded, and even if that surrounding is a small like handful of people, you have to be surrounded by people who speak life into you and see you when you can't see yourself, and don't let you stop.
yes.
Because especially when it feels like the walls are closing in, it's very easy to be like, "Well, I'm not gonna do this." Especially, and it's hard. Being an entrepreneur is already hard anyway, right? So it's like, "I'm not gonna do this." And for me, it was a challenge because I'm like, I could just go back to being a pharmacist, clock in, clock out.
And
I
be
know what the job entails. I've been doing it for years. I know I'm gonna get a steady paycheck. I'm gonna get my PTO, and that's it. I don't wanna really extend myself to do this.
yeah.
And if it had not been for the circle of people I have around me who are like, this is divinely timed. This is what you're supposed to do. You are gifted. You're this, who speak life into you. There would be no Andrea Osei Bride. There would be no, because I've been through the valley. It almost feels like as soon as I picked up a sewing machine, everything went south.
Mm,
Everything came against me to make me put it down.
mm. You gonna have
Yeah,
me
so
a whole sermon here. Don't do that. Don't push that
I
side. No, you don't want to push that side of Joycelyn out today.
Like, if it had not been for the Lord on my side.
Let Andrea and Joycelyn say because. Ah.
Listen, and
Ah.
and I think that as a Christian entrepreneur, you have no idea how many times I've been face down in this condo crying about this business. Like,
Mm.
God, if you really wanted me to, if this is really what you want me to do, where are the clients? Where's the money? Like, I know and this is not to be boastful, but I'm like, I know I'm better than a lot of people out there. I know that I'm not cutting corners on my materials and my production. And like, I know that I'm new, but I know that I'm good. Why is it not happening? Why is it not happening? But 3, 4 years in God's eyes is but like a minute.
That part.
It, like a second. So I think it's just remaining faithful, remaining patient.
Mm.
And I've learned to literally just plan, but take it day by day by day by day,
Mm.
and not be overwhelmed by the checklists or the things that have to be done. Just stay 10 toes down and get it done.
I'm trying not to shout. I'm trying not to be how I can get right. I can go. But Jay, you said so much. And
I mean, it's just I'm very big on being transparent, and I think that when it comes to Andrea Osei Bride, I've been blessed to have a lot of great media coverage. Um,
mm,
I've had a lot of tremendous milestones. You know, been on television now,
mm,
and yes, it's glamorous, but it's also a grind. It is a daily grind, like early mornings, late nights, running the appointments, showing up to markets, dealing with customers, and you have to do it all with joy. You have to do it all with joy. You have to do it all with grace. And some days it's harder than others.
listen, you gotta count it all joy. Like
Yeah,
every piece of it, count it all joy. But you said something, and I feel like we're gonna go over time, but that's okay because it's a good
and
conversation.
that's fine.
But
That's fine.
listen, you said something about how the moment you picked up a sewing machine, it seems like everything was against you to put it down. And I think one of the lessons the Lord, here we go. One of the lessons the Lord is teaching me in my own life is that the thing that the enemy attacks the most is what God is going to use to do something.
Yes.
The thing that fights you, the thing that you're like, it almost like life is hard, but when that thing feels impossible, it almost becomes like, why is this thing so impossible? And it's funny because the prayer that you prayed about, you were looking like God, but if you I've had to cry those prayers a few times, like, God, but you sent me here. I didn't send myself. Like, I didn't get up and say, you gave directive to do this. And why is it so hard? Why does it feel so impossible? But I think it's in those moments that we realize, and for me, it has become confirmation that this is where God needs me to be, right? This
Yeah.
is where God wants me to be. And I need to rely on Him alone because if I don't, this thing is going to fall apart because this is not even my strength to do, you know? And then you
Right.
have
And it's also not for your glory.
that part.
So
That
so
that
so that so that's another big thing lesson that I had to learn. But I just feel like it was crazy. And if I had given up when I was making children's clothes, I wouldn't be making luxury gowns.
yes.
But I didn't know that that was where I was. I just wanted to make some cute kids clothes for my friends and donate 10 or 15% to Raising Hope and go do some philanthropy and still work and I was still working a pharmacy job and a half, I think, at that point, because I was just doing it on the side, like, okay, whatever. Like I loved it, but I wasn't passionate about it.
Mm,
When started becoming passionate about it, that's what, like, the attacks just became more frequent, more intense. And the interesting thing, and I know we're going over time, but I gotta just say this.
hey, girl.
I the irony of this all is that I when I decided to start making wedding dresses, celebrating marriage, celebrating love, the main thing that got attacked was my love life. The main thing. And like the Bible says, above all things, guard your heart, because all things flow from it. And I think that was always the primary mode. Like, breaking my heart will make me stop doing things. Like, that will make me sit down and be like, oh, okay, this is just a project. Oh, I can't do this. I can't do that. And I had to insulate myself and
Yes.
pray to protect myself to be able to push forward this year, because there have just been things that were meant to completely shatter me. And now I'm sitting here, fine girl, no pimples still. Hey, if it's God, it's God. It's God, and it's God. And there's a Bible verse that says, "God is the lifter of my head."
Yes.
Literally,
Yes.
it's in Psalms. Literally,
Yes.
literally. And on the days I didn't have the strength to do it, God did it for me.
Woo! I have goosebumps, Jesus. Okay, so this was actually
So
a session, but I feel like
God
Jaya,
did it for me. So I'm like, listen, no weapon,
none. And it's so
nothing.
crazy that you're saying that about how the thing that you decide to do is what begins to cause the pain for you to even want to stop, right? And I think just sharing very transparently is that I feel like for me the past 2.5 years was a journey of heartbreaking to
Yeah,
literally see if we can stop her through heartbreak, right? Because people like
yeah,
us, we love hard, our hearts are big, we it's you get to our heart, you can get to us stopping anything, right?
yeah.
And I think for me, the minute I had to learn to surrender, like true surrender, like God, I ain't got no business in this place. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I am shattered. I am falling apart. But I think what happened also is that I learned strength.
Mm.
I learned resilience, right?
And it's
I learned
quiet a lot of times. People think
yes.
that strength is, and I'm a pop out and I'm gonna show this person that you get to a point when you have a certain level of peace that it's not about showing anyone. This is about just showing out for the Lord. Like, it's
Listen,
not about I'm gonna prove to you that I'm better off without you,
no.
or like we're no longer friends, so now I want you to see that I'm doing better than you. You don't even think about those people.
Drea, and as you were talking about, the verse that came to my mind was, and the peace that surpasses all understanding, right? It's and that
Yes.
verse literally like because in the situation you're in, it should be chaotic. You should be chaotic, but you find yourself in this level of peace. I'm even shocked at myself. Like, wait, I'm not. Because I'm a little bit crazy on the side. I think you know that. But
Yeah.
like, it's like you're at peace because there's a peace that is anchoring you. There's a peace that surpasses all understanding that it makes no sense. But I think that's just how God shows up and shows out for you in your obedience, in your walk, and allows you to thrive in the business that He's given you. Because you're right. If you fall apart, what's going to happen to the business? Because you're
Oh,
technically,
I've seen what happens to the
yeah,
business. It stops.
yeah.
It stops. But I think that it's so interesting, and I've also learned not to bottle my emotions and act like something didn't
Mm,
bother. Because then I
mm,
noticed that if I act like something didn't bother me, it actually lingers longer than if I would have just felt it and let it go. So now
mm.
if something hurts me, I'm just gonna slide down the wall for like 2.5 business days. It
Yeah,
has to just be a ugly, and then you get over it. But you have to, because it's like if you don't have that release, and it doesn't mean that certain hurt won't come to your remembrance sometimes,
yeah.
but it does not have control over your life anymore.
No, it's a
It's
different, it's
actually a great feeling. It's a
yeah.
great feeling.
But I feel like we're also pivoting a bit, but I think it's so important. Like, there's a lot of friendships I've lost in these 2 years. Like,
Yeah, kind
people
of just phased out.
yeah, and it's just like people that you thought you'd be friends with for life. I'm talking about we're probably gonna be changing dentures. Like, we're gonna be girls or just for life. And I think that sometimes in our journey of walking, right, even in faith and business, I think sometimes God will prune people out of our lives because they can
Right.
no
There's
longer
no
go.
love lost. It doesn't
Yeah,
mean that you don't care for them, or if like if something major happens, you won't show up for them. But I think that people underestimate how valuable your bandwidth is. And
yes.
the time you spend each day, like you're literally not going to get it back. And when I was 18 or 20, I didn't have projects. I only had school. So like I had time to just lay around idly and like, hang out and chill and, just do my thing. But now like the vision is clear. And if the vision is now clear and you're still wasting time, you're doing yourself a disservice. You're doing yourself a disservice. And I think that my advice to like young people is, I know there's a lot of pressure to like, especially in the Ghanaian community, finish school, then like immediately get married and hop into this and do like there's like a trek. And I was on the trek. I was there. I think that, and there's nothing wrong with it, but place equal importance on your personal development so
Mm,
that you are as close to the person you're going to be for the rest of your life as you're going to be, so that you don't like then you like have your own renaissance, have your own like self-discovery, figure out what you like, figure out what you don't, discover yourself so that you make sure that you're making the right partner decisions, because who you marry will make or break you. Who that takes to the next level, oh, it will drag you to the pits of hell, and your wig will be like this. Like
yes,
you need to, and you'll, because again, and it goes back to matters of the heart.
yes, yeah,
Like there are very few things that will throw you off
mm,
of your track for destiny.
yes. It's funny because one of my favorite apostles always used to say that who you marry can send you to hell. Okay, and it's fun because
It's
I
also impossible to see that
that's what I
before,
was
because
gonna say.
everyone's showing up as their best self.
Yeah,
So
and that
there's a level to this that is always, you're always going to be a little surprised.
you are,
You're always going to be a little surprised. But I think that the surprises will be minimized
yeah.
if you, because if you really know yourself, the way you select is going to be better.
Yes, yes, I agree.
Yeah.
And I think for me, even like in my walk and in my faith, there are three things that the Lord has been teaching me. Because the Bible talks about the Holy Spirit being the person who's a spirit of truth. And I honestly believe that there are three things, and I'm teaching my kids that now. Marry somebody who fears God. Because the Bible says the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. They truly,
Absolutely.
it's not no, they fear God. Not like they're afraid of God, but they fear God. Two,
Yeah, they reverence him,
they
and they,
reverence.
then they're going to treat you well.
Exactly. And then the second thing I teach them is that marry somebody who hears from God. Like they are
Yes.
in relationship enough to hear from God. And especially for my son, I need him to hear as the male. And for Gabriella, you need a man that can hear too, and you can hear too. And then three, somebody who heeds the voice of God. Because just because they fear God, they hear God, does not mean that they obey. How do you even get here? Jesus. We like,
No, but, I'm going to bring it full circle for you, because
yeah.
and this is another reason why I also love selling wedding dresses to brides,
Mm,
because I also get to talk to them about marriage.
yes.
So like it it it's like beauty for ashes. Everything is
Mm,
always going to be for good, right? So not only do I get to design beautiful gowns for them, but like, I become very good friends with them a lot of times.
yeah.
And I get to like, tell me a little bit about your fiance, and and like just, and it's not like a sermon, but it's little pearls that I hope will help them along their journey, because marriage is a journey. So Andrea Osei Bride is deeper than just the fashion. It's deeper than just the fashion, because we believe in lifelong marriages. We
Yeah.
want to see more marriages like lasting, and then you come back for your anniversary dress for
Yes,
me, and
yes.
you're a repeat customer. No, that was a joke halfway. That was a
No,
halfway joke.
no, we're serious. Come back for the day. We gonna be here.
No, but I want to see people win.
Yeah.
I want to see people win. So I think that it's an important part of the conversation. It was a tangent, but it's still an important part of the
No,
conversation.
it was a very important part because as you brought it home for me, what I heard the Spirit of the Lord say, which has been again the theme through all the conversations, is that everything that He gives us as women of faith is a ministry. It is a
Yes.
way for us to touch other people that will come across us with our story. And you said something about beauty for ashes, with our pain that He has made beautiful in those moments. Like there are times
Yes.
where I'm on a call with a client and and I know my clients sometimes think I'm crazy, and I'll literally bust out laughing. And they were like, "Why laughing?" Like, because the lesson I had to learn was not for me alone, was for you. Right? Whereby
Yeah.
you can take moments and things that you have learned on your walk and really pour into others that God has sent your way. So that
Yeah.
was very neat. And I love how you brought it all together. And I love how the Lord revealed how it was packaged nicely. So, but yeah, we are way over time, girl. I'm going to ask you one more question and then we got
Okay,
it.
go for it.
So, my final question, and I ask everybody this, is if you were to sit across Andrea 10 years younger, what would you say to her?
Ooh, okay, 10 years younger is only 30.
Well, you want
But
to do, okay, no, let's go back. Let's do 20 years.
well, 30 is actually good, because that's when I started going through the fire, through the limit, through the wall.
Okay, let's
Yeah, 'cause I think I had just started I was probably 2 years into, like, sewing and doing all those other things, and then I was yeah, I think I was getting ready to, like, going through marital problems, on the
Mm,
brink of separation, divorce. I think no, well, it was all in that era. It was all in that era, and I would tell her, "It's gonna be okay. Give
mm,
yourself grace." I think that I, am a perfectionist to a fault sometimes, and at that young age, I really cared about what everyone was saying. But
mm,
I would tell her, "They're gonna be saying something else in a few years, so just you hope that you stay steadfast."
mm.
And one thing that I've always prided myself on, and younger Andrea on, is your reputation and your integrity is always gonna speak for itself. You never have to get on a platform. You never have to defend yourself. You never have to, like, I think on the internet, people sensationalize a lot of things. Like, remain a woman of class is what I would tell her. Always keep it classy, always take the higher road, and God is just gonna keep on opening the floodgates.
Always take the high road. Always remain a woman of class. And in a few years, they're gonna be saying something else. I love that.
Yeah.
Drea, we were only supposed to do a few 30-minute conversations, but we're literally pushing 42. And I know me and you, we
We
could
gave
talk
you a little bit of the tea. We
forever.
gave you a little bit of the tea, so we had to take an extra 12 minutes.
And I know we could go on for long, but Drea, I think you know I love you. I
Me
love you.
too.
I admire you. You know the crazy side of Joycelyn will show up for very few people, and you're one of them. So I'm excited to have connected with you. But really, really, last question is: if people are looking for you, they're brides that are looking for you, people that are looking for you, where can they find you at? How can they get in contact with you?
Sure. So you could shop, or well, you can view our collections at andreaosei.com. That's ANDREAO, S for Sam, EI.com. That's so Ghanaian. S for Sam.
Yes.
And we're on Andrea Osei Bride on all social media platforms. You could shop directly from us in East Orange, New Jersey. Our brand is also available at Lux Bridal Studio in Nashville, Tennessee, and Monami Bridal in Casa Mesa, California. And coming to more metropolitan areas very soon. So yeah, so you can travel to those locations, or you can contact us directly. We also offer virtual appointments.
Awesome. And by the end of 2025, I speak it into existence. We will be worldwide. We will be
Oh,
worldwide.
it's right here.
Telling you, I'm excited. I'm excited for you. But all right. Thank you guys so much for joining in. I hope you had a
Thank you.
great time and you learned so much from this conversation. And we'll be back. All right. Have a good one.
Thank you so much.
All right. Bye.